So I have been using this iPad Pro 11 inches one, and this is an M1 model, and I have been using this device from the past 4 years, or almost I would say it has been about 3 years and 8 months since I have been using this device. Now a lot of people who are students, they might argue that whether they should pick something like the iPad Pro the 11 inches one, or whether they should pick the M4 MacBook, the MacBook Air, or something that is similarly priced. Now this thing, if you buy the latest one with the M4 processor, it will cost about 1647 Canadian dollars plus taxes if you just take something with 256 GB of the base storage along with a cellular plus Wi-Fi model. And this is exactly the same thing what I purchased in the year 2021, but with an M1 processor and not the M4 processor. Now why I wanted to make this video was just because I was seeing a few deals online on Facebook Marketplace, and also a few deals that were popping up on the Apple refurbished website, and I could find this exact similar model on Facebook and on Amazon sale and even on the Apple website for about 700 Canadian dollars. But this is a Wi-Fi plus cellular model versus what you're getting on the Apple website most of the times, because those are the models that are a bit more expensive. And even though that Apple knows that it is a 4-year old device, they still might be selling that device for a larger price tag, versus if you look around on Facebook Marketplace for a used device or a lot of other websites, you will be able to find the exact same model for a very cheap pricing. Now the thing is that if you're able to find this thing with a cellular model or maybe just the Wi-Fi model for just around 600 to 700 Canadian dollars, and again if you are someone who is into coding, or if you just want a casual device to watch Netflix and stuff, or even if you are into 3D modeling, I think so that this is not a bad device at all. And especially with all the AI features that has been added with the iOS 18.2 update, I think so that this thing over here is really a good device for about 700 Canadian dollars, because it is snappy. It will get most of the jobs done on this device, whether it is typing an email, or maybe if you are into a study material thing, making notes, or maybe signing some of the important documents. I think so that this thing can just handle everything, and that is why I just wanted to make this video. Now I know a lot of people would have the number one question that whether this device is capable of gaming or no, and yes, I think so that this is one of the devices that is very good for the gaming purposes. And I know there have been a lot of titles that has been optimized for this M1 chip. So yes, you can play a lot of AAA titles like Resident Evil on this device with a lot of ease. And also if you want to connect this thing with your PlayStation 5 remote controller, then yes, you can very well do the very same thing with this iPad as well. But the second question that is more important is that is this thing capable of coding or no? And yes, the answer is that this thing is very much capable of coding as well. When I purchased this device, I used to code a lot on this device, and I used to use the coder application, but also you have some other alternatives as well, like the Replit application. That is what you can use to code on this device on, again, a web browser on this thing, that is Safari. But also if you want to have the Visual Studio Code to be installed on this device, this is something that is not possible. Maybe there might be a few other hacks that may be able to download that thing on this device that I'm not aware of. But if you're into the Visual Studio Code thing, then yes, you can use the web version of the Visual Studio Code. And yes, you can also link the very same thing with the GitLab thing, with the GitHub thing, and so much so yes, if you have got a physical keyboard with you, then I can say that this is a very good device to be able to code on this iPad. And again, the M1 chip is a very powerful one, and anything that you throw at this device, it will be able to handle everything with a lot of ease. And I think so you can also train the AI models on this thing as well. I'm not aware of the applications because this is what stuck to my mind as I'm talking to you right now, but I think so this is very much possible on this M1 chip as well, because the architecture is very similar to the M1 Pro and the M1 Max. Those are again one of the best chips that are available in the market from the past 4 years. So I think so that should be no problem with this device. But the other thing that a lot of people may ask as well is that iPads are the devices that does not allow you to download multiple things on the device, and a lot of people just struggle to download a few videos, or maybe if you are downloading some documents or stuff, then I think so that the best alternative to this thing is downloading browsers like the Aloha browser. Again, this is not a sponsored video and I do not sponsor Aloha at all, but this is the application that I use to be able to download something if I want on this device. device. But also this application has access to the VPN thing as well, which means that you can connect to a free VPN on this Aloha browser, and that does not share the data with the hackers and the stuff. So all the good stuff that you can find online, you can just do with this Aloha browser, and this is an amazing application in my opinion. Now, one another question that a lot of people would want to know about this 4 years old device is that does this thing support the Final Cut camera application or no, to be able to connect multiple devices as a multi-camera use and to be able to edit the videos on the go or no. And yes, you would be able to do the very same thing on this iPad, the M1 generation as well. So you just do not need to buy the latest and the greatest in the market to be able to use that application, because again, this is a software upgrade rather than something to be that is very dependent on the hardware of the device. Now, a lot of people would think so that this does not have a processor that is as powerful as the M4 processor, and yes, that is very true. But the thing is that you do not need a lot of power with an iPad OS, and that is something that you need to understand, because in this 4 years that I have been using this device, I have not seen a single hiccup on this thing. In fact, the latest iPhone that I have in this studio is the iPhone 16 Pro Max, and I just get to see a lot of issues with my this iPhone 16 Pro Max versus this iPad with iPad OS 18.2, and I was surprised to see that the amount of bugs that I see on this device are far way less than what I see on the iPhone 16 Pro Max. So yes, I think so that this is a win-win situation, and you just do not need a very powerful processor like the M4 one that are the latest and the greatest in the market. Now, one another difference between this iPad and the latest and the greatest in the market is that the new iPads, they do come with a dual OLED panel that is stacked on top of one another. But this one over here, the one that I have in my studio, it is an LCD panel. But the one that is the larger variant, it does come with a mini LED panel, and that is unfortunately not the one that I have in this studio. But I can say one thing, that this LCD panel is not a bad one, and I think so that the maximum peak brightness on this one is 600 nits, and versus what we have on the M4 iPads is, I think so those are the 1000 nits of peak brightness, and they also go up to, I think so, 1600 nits of peak brightness with the HDR content. But I genuinely think so that the display on this iPad is a very good one, and you would enjoy watching content like YouTube, or maybe if you want to watch something on Netflix or the Prime Video, I think so that this one over here is a very good one. And I have been using this device to watch a lot of Netflix when I travel on the flights, or maybe if I am in a subway or if I'm in a bus. I think so the experience of using this device with the Netflix and stuff is just very enjoyable. Now, one another thing that is different on this iPads is that the newer iPads, they do have an option to be able to add a matte display, but that is again something that is not a very important thing. And you could also just buy a very cheap, I would say, a screen protector from AliExpress or Temu or maybe Amazon Marketplace, and you would be able to get a cheap protector for about 19 to 20 Canadian dollars, and that would also do 90% of the job rather than having a matte display like the ones that are there on the latest iPads. Again, you can just add it as an extra option on the M4 series, but that was something that was not available with the M1 series of the iPads, and those were the things of the past. Now, the next thing again that is different between this one and the latest and the greatest one in the market is that the M1 iPads are the ones that do come with the latest and the greatest, the Thunderbolt port connection along with the Wi-Fi 6E. But this is not the device that comes with the same standard. It has got the the Wi-Fi 6 connection, and also I think so that the 5G millimeter wave is different on the latest and the greatest one if you have got the cellular models in your home, or if you just want to purchase the very same thing. But for most of the people, I think so for about 60% of the people, it would just not matter. Now, one another thing that I wanted to mention in this video is the battery life on these iPads, because this is something that is not amazing about this one, and this is a very sad thing, because I just wanted these iPads to last a bit longer. I have also got a 9th generation of the iPad in my studio, and that one just goes for days and days without charging the device again and again. But this is not the case with this iPad. I think so I need to charge this device almost every day, and that is a shame, because I just wanted to again have a longer battery life at least on this iPad, because this was an M1 generation. But this is not something that you would be able to get out of this iPad. Maybe I have got a faulty unit, and that is not to blame on this iPad, but this is what I have been experiencing on my iPad. And this is not just after using this device for 4 years, because even that when I got this device and it was a brand new one, it would just not last more than a day or maybe 2 days. That is the maximum if I turn off the sensor to get this display automatically on when there is a notification or something. Now, I have set this iPad to not turn on. The only way that you can do really is just do this thing. but if you just tap on this device, it would just not get on. And this is how I'm able to get about 2 days of battery life on this iPad that I have now. One another thing that is interesting to me is that this iPad, it does have a dual camera setup on the back versus what you have got on the newer iPads, because the newer generation, it does not have two cameras. It have just got a single camera along with a LiDAR sensor on the back. And last thing that I wanted to mention on this device is that this is a 5.9 mm thin device, and it is not very structurally sound, because we have seen a lot of videos by generating itself. And I think so that point of the failure is somewhere over here where you have got the charging port on this device. And this is exactly what I had experienced when I purchased this device for the very first time. I was on a flight and I just started to see that the portion near this USB Type-C connection, it started to tear apart, and I just got a replacement device at that time. And again, that was under 1 year of when I initially purchased this device. But after that, I had been a bit more careful, and never ever again I just got any kind of dents or scratches or anything or any kind of bends on this device. So yes, the build quality is not that good. The latest and the greatest one is even thinner at 5.1 inches, but there is a back plate somewhere over here on that iPad, so be able to support the structural rigidity of that device versus this iPad as we have. And well, with that said, that was all that what I wanted to share in this video. And I think so that if I've got a budget of about 650 to 700 Canadian dollars, and if you're able to find an iPad in a very good condition, maybe some of them would also sell you the iPad with a case and an Apple Pencil as well for about this price. And at that point, I would say that just go and get the deal rather than just waiting on something that is a new one, because you would be spending something about 1679 Canadian dollars plus taxes on a new device versus a $700 the cash price on something that is a used one and in a fairly new condition. And that was all that what I wanted to share in this video. My name is Anshul. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.